As many of you know, Dad was an avid video guy. He spent hours teaching me the ways of the video camera, and then later, the ways of video editing. This is my tribute to him. There are so many stories, I couldn't find the one that was the best. So I'm going to share the first one I remember from my childhood that was the most vivid. In the early 80s, Dad bought a four-wheel drive. It was a 1972 Toyota Land Cruiser, and we also had an 18-foot camper trailer we pulled behind it. I think Timmy and me had more staycations under our belt than just about any of our friends of the time, and that was obviously before staycations were a thing. We traveled all over Colorado and Wyoming and many other states in over about 5 years. Of course, Dad always brought along a video recorder. He was pretty cool with that thing, and one day he got an idea and slapped a Channel 2 news sticker on the side of it. Well, everyone thought he was a news guy, and when he walked up with me in tow holding his recorder while he shot video, well, they just made way and let him do his thing. In the early 80s, Dad had the latest and greatest, but this thing was huge. I mean, it was a beast. The thing, I would call it the brick. The recorder itself had to weigh 20 pounds, but to me it felt like it was 200 pounds on my shoulders. But I digress. I was Dad's so-called grip. You know, that's the guy that does everything, and I mean everything, other than video shooting. So we're in Yellowstone for a family vacation one year. We had a lot of fun. Tons of animals, looking at waterfalls, checking out the geysers. But one thing stood out. It was a gigantic bull moose just off the side of the highway. So imagine this. Dad hits the brakes. We come to a stop, trailer in tow. Dad says, "Grab the equipment, we gotta go." So we hike on up a little bit, get probably 50 feet from a 6.5-foot tall moose just to shoot video. Well, Dad decided he wanted to get a bit closer because, well, in his words, his zoom just wasn't good enough. So he takes one small step forward and that moose snorts. Dad shook the camera and me, well, I was about to drop the video recorder and run, but I realized I was standing there with the thing stuck out straight across from my body, holding that thing up, 20 pounds in all, for what seemed like an eternity. Well, I started thinking, who really runs? And if they do run, who's going to outrun a moose in their own environment? Well, I still laugh about that today. On the way back, I told Dad, "You know, Dad, you shook the camera." Well, if you know Dad and shooting video, he hated extra movement no matter what you did. He had to insist he did not move that camera. He had the perfect shot. Well, we get into camp later that night, and of course, Dad has a way to show us the video on a television in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, really, who did that in the 80s? So Dad starts the video and begins telling us in his own words what he was thinking. He and I both know that scary snort is coming up, but he didn't tell Timmy or Mom. So Mom and my brother Tim had no idea what Dad and I went through, other than we were both laughing by the time we got back to the truck. So Dad looks at me, looks at Mom, and says, "Here it comes. Here it comes. Wait for it. Here it comes. Snort." Dad and I start cracking up because, well, you guessed it, the video shook and he looked at me. We laughed for a couple days at that because for the first time in my life, I found that Dad was Dad, and I finally had my first memory of something that I could forever give him a hard time about. Dad, thank you for teaching me so much. While I'll never shoot video as well as you, it is one of the many things I will cherish about your time with us. I love you.